Hi there.
The
My name is
broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi there. My name is Katie Rose Brosnan.
And my name is Mariah Waika, and we are Campus Outreach Coordinators for the Associated Colleges of the Midwest. Thank you so much for joining us today for our general informational session on our off-campus study programs. We are really excited to chat with you a little bit about our programs all over the world. For those of you who are tuning in and don't know much about the ACM, we just wanted to clarify that our programs are semester-long programs. We don't have summer programs.
Yeah, and I think that this is part of sort of introducing you all to the world of off-campus study. There may be different options at your school aside from the ACM, but the Associated Colleges of the Midwest runs off-campus study programs that try to link the learning that you are doing on campus to learning somewhere else in the world. And so we have a lot of the same features that may have made you choose your small liberal arts school in the first place. So academic rigor, personalized learning, almost all of our programs have some form of independent focused learning, whether that's an internship or independent study project. And we're also very serious about place-based learning. So rather than going someplace and being a tourist, we are searching for ways to get more deeply engaged both with the local culture and then connecting those to larger and broader issues that you learn about through the program. So as we jump in, I'm Katie Rose, and I did the Chicago program when I was a student. So we'll take a couple minutes and talk briefly about each program and then let you know at the end how you can follow up for more information or if you've got questions about any of this stuff. So the Chicago program focuses on arts, entrepreneurship, and social justice and human rights. It is a program that can take place either in the fall or the spring term, a spring semester as well as a spring term for our trimester friends. And it's a program that's open to any and all majors because it's got really disparate areas of focus and is one of those programs that you can really personalize to what you are interested in. It also allows you a chance to get out of wherever you might be living currently. I went to a small school in the middle of cornfields and spend some time in the third largest city in America and sort of using Chicago as a case study for urban issues in the US and perhaps more globally as well. This is one of our rock star students from last year, Jessie. Enjoying the city, but it is not just taking pictures off of piers. The Chicago program has 4 major components. So there's a personalized internship experience that takes place 2 days a week, and we work really closely with students to set up an internship that is within a field that they're interested in exploring and also something for which they can get credit. There are seminar options, so you can choose basically 2 between the arts and creativity, the entrepreneurship and innovation, social justice, human rights, and Chicago issues and neighborhoods. And so really trying to get a grounding in those different topics with a huge emphasis on getting you out of the classroom and meeting with practitioners. We say for a lot of those that it's a really good way, and I know this is true when I was learning stuff, that if you are sick of learning in the classroom and just want to be out there meeting the people who are doing it, like you are definitely thrown right in there. And then the last component is an independent study project. And the Chicago program is one particularly where there's such an emphasis on experiential learning that you could write a paper. Most people choose to do something a little bit more creative, which I think is fun.
Another program that we have in Chicago is the Newberry Seminar, which focuses on research in the humanities. The Newberry is one of the foremost humanities research libraries in the country and in the world. And so students who go on this seminar do an intensive research project for a full semester at the Newberry. Many students who have done this have been English majors, humanities majors, or history majors. It's a fall semester program, and the students who spend the semester here spend their time doing research and focusing on the Newberry's collections. There are fantastic old maps. The Newberry actually has some of the most incredible original, like pre-colonial maps from the U.S. But also just it's a library full of old, incredible books. And so the students who come there use the resources and carry out their own research project, whether that means that they're looking at original Alice in Wonderland illustrations and comparing them across countries, or focusing on looking at how the myth of the Great Chicago Fire has been created over time and how that story is told. The options are pretty endless in terms of what your project looks like. Students on this program live in apartments in Chicago as well, and so again have a chance to explore this awesome city. There they are doing research. And I didn't mention, but I did mention that it is an independent graduate level humanities research project. Fantastic as a jump off point for graduate school. Many students have used the project as a bridge into their senior seminar. The topic of the Newberry changes by year, and it varies based on the visiting faculty director's areas of expertise. One other cool thing is that students do have work and study opportunities, whether that means working in the stacks or restoring old volumes at the Newberry.
Our last sort of option for off-campus study within the U.S. is the Oak Ridge Science Semester, which takes place in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, actually at one of the national labs where the atom bombs were built, which is an interesting legacy, I think, that they grapple with in terms of what does scientific advancement mean for humanity and civilization. But when you're there, I assume that you don't have to answer those questions right off the bat. Students primarily work as researchers in the normal operations of the lab. And so you are applying to join into an extant research project. And so this involves looking at sort of what is currently going on in the lab, what your experience might make you most suited for. There are a number of different fields which work in Oak Ridge, but you are able to sort of slot in to those different projects. One sweetener on this deal is that in an effort to promote STEM learning, the Department of Energy does send out a financial stipend to cover the cost of living while you're in Tennessee, and then some if you are frugal.
Another program that we have, and so now moving to our international programs, we have two programs in Costa Rica. The first one, and the one that you're seeing the slide for right now, is a fall semester program focused on community engagement in public health, education, and the environment. There's a beautiful photo of amazing Costa Rica. The areas of focus for this program, as you can see, are environmental studies, public health, education, and Spanish. Although we do want to say that we have had majors from other concentrations go on this program and other programs as well. Those areas of focus that you'll see throughout this presentation are the most logical areas and where we see the most students, but at the same time, depending on your credits or what your major looks like, this could work for you if you're a music major or a sociology major or things like that as well.
To quote a formative movie from all of our childhoods, they're more guidelines than actual rules. Did you not watch Pirates of the Caribbean? Anyway, moving on.
Housing is in San Jose, Costa Rica, and it's a homestay with Costa Rican host families. Many students say that this is their favorite part of the program. It's a great way to get to know the culture, to eat the food, and to really connect with Costa Rican people. There's some people ziplining, because why not when you're in Costa Rica? And the curriculum, just to outline that in a little bit more detail, there's an Intro to Costa Rica course that you can really understand the place you're in, a Spanish language class. We do ask that students who go on the Costa Rica program have an intermediate level of Spanish knowledge. Since you're living with a host family and taking all of your coursework in Spanish, it's really important that you're able to communicate with your host family and also to understand your courses. So there's a Spanish course, but it is based on your level. And so you may be taking a really, really high level of Spanish course if you've been taking Spanish since you were in kindergarten, or a more intermediate level if that's more appropriate for you. There are also elective options in the areas of focus, and a month-long community practicum. Those community practicums usually slot into the three main themes of public health, education, and the environment. So you could be working with an organization that's working on AIDS awareness in Costa Rica. You could be helping to understand, or you could be working in a school and understanding how a school in Costa Rica runs. Or students in the environmental track have done everything ranging from looking at sustainability in Costa Rica to working with organizations that focus on like sustainability in terms of at like cocoa plantations and things like that.
The spring semester program in Costa Rica is a little bit different in focus. So it is much more heavily sort of centered around field research. And so for some people, we say the field can be actual fields and doing things that are maybe more biology, ecology, wildlife related. But for some people, the field are humanities. There was a really excellent project done a couple years ago about poets in San Jose and in Costa Rica and sort of their processes. And so that's another program that is open to all majors. Again, we do ask for some Spanish language background. It's less formal than in the fall semester program, but you do need to be able to conduct your independent research. And so that if that gives you any sort of clue. In terms of the timing options, it is mostly a spring semester program, but we do have a spring trimester option for the students from trimester schools. But no matter when you come, you will be living with a host family, both in San Jose for the first sort of month when you're learning and preparing for your research, and as well as when you are in the field.
Somebody almost always does some form of research with sloths, which we know is a crowd pleaser and always makes us happy to think about. So that's a pretty fun photo from that person's experience.
Fantastic. But aside from that, it really is, this projects do tend to cluster in a couple of main areas, but students have been doing really innovative work around economics, around environmental studies, around sociology, around anthropology. And one thing that I really like about these programs are the extent to which they have been used both by students and occasionally by the Costa Rican sort of government and public policy center. There was a really cool project a couple years back where students collaborated and so went out and tried to reproduce the same type of project in 3 different areas of Costa Rica, looking at childhood obesity. And then the Costa Rican version of their Department of Health actually took that research and started using it in some of their policy and planning,
right?
Which is sort of the dream for social scientists in
so
many
it's
ways.
really exciting to see where the research that you do during your time abroad could take you.
For sure.
We have a new program that we're really excited about that focuses on culture, community, and language at the University of PUC-Rio in Brazil. It's in Rio de Janeiro, and the areas of focus, as you can see, are the arts, the humanities, and the social sciences. It's a fall semester program, and it includes a homestay with a Brazilian family. Cool photo. So students work with the University of PUC-Rio, which is a private university in Rio de Janeiro. Students take an elective course at PUC-Rio. All of your courses at PUC-Rio are taught in English, and so you do not need to have Portuguese language background in order to go on this program. Of course, it's useful anytime you go somewhere to at least know a little bit, but you don't need to, and you'll be able to take Portuguese at whatever level is most appropriate for you. There is an independent study project, and so, as you've maybe gathered from our presentation, that is a hallmark of ACM programs. And so it really allows you to find something that you're interested in and dive into it during your time in your new community in wherever you chose to study abroad. And then last of all, there's a faculty director course. So if you are looking at studying abroad next year, so for the spring of next year, the faculty director her name is Sarah, and she's from Colorado College, and she has a really strong focus on community engagement and has spent a lot of time in Brazil, primarily focusing on researching all-female police departments and how they work to fight domestic violence. So she has fantastic research, and if you do want to go to Brazil next spring, she'll be an awesome person to work with. Last of all, PUC-Rio has a really heavy focus on volunteer and community service projects. That's a big part of the tradition of the university, and we're excited to see how students make that a part of their life in Brazil.
If you are looking for a more direct exchange program, so if you're a little more adventurous and have a stronger background in foundation Portuguese language, you might be interested in our semester exchange program at the University of Juiz de Fora. And so that is open to all majors, and that is a fall or spring term option. Basically, the convention is that you go to Brazil and a Brazilian student comes and studies at one of the ACM schools. And so students on this program are just a normal and regular member of that university. And so that gives you a chance to be a little bit maybe more immersive. But the flip side of that is that it's quite immersive, and all classes are taught in Portuguese. But you can be taking elective coursework in sort of any content area.
So moving to Europe, we have a program in Florence that focuses on arts, humanities, and culture. That's a beautiful view there from Piazza Michelangelo overlooking the city. So the areas of focus for this program are studio art, art history, Italian, politics, and religion. This is a fall semester program, and it involves a homestay with a family in Florence. This is a really neat aspect of the program. There are tons of programs for American students in Florence, but not many of them offer the chance to live with a host family. And so we love that students are able to really really join that community and to get to know what it's like to live with an Italian family in this city. That's an opportunity that not a lot of other students get, and we know that the students who come back say made their experience incredibly meaningful. That's the director of our program out on a day trip, showing students a mural. So the curriculum for the Florence program includes all levels of Italian language. We do not expect that you've had Italian language background when you go on this program. Once again, you test into the level that's suitable for you and your level of knowledge. There are elective courses in art history, Renaissance studies. There's a really cool drawing course that focuses on ancient techniques of drawing. And then there's another elective course that we're really stoked about that's a master's in workshop series. And so this allows you to, instead of spending every day in the classroom, which will sometimes happen when you're abroad, but this allows you to get out into the studios of modern day masters of their craft in either art restoration or gilding. And so students are working on restoring ancient paintings, on learning traditional gilding techniques, and it's just a really great way to use the city as your classroom and to work with people who are really excellent at their craft. We do think that you really get to use Florence as a classroom in general, so there are daily site visits and field trips, not to mention some mandatory field trips to places like Venice, Rome, Siena, and Pisa, which our students rarely complain about being mandatory. Last of all, if you have really advanced Italian knowledge, there are a couple of internship opportunities with world-renowned galleries such as the Uffizi and the Gallery of the Accademia, which houses the David. And so students who are rock stars at Italian have had that really awesome opportunity.
There is another program that sort of takes part of the elements of the fall semester Florence program, but then combines them and tries to do a compare and contrast with another city. And so that's our London and Florence program. So it's specifically looking at putting sort of different attitudes towards the art into their city context. And so different areas of focus that derive into this program are history, art, literature, theater. Museum studies is a new emphasis for us and one that we're super excited about, particularly in looking at how that can connect through different areas in London and in Florence. And so this is one that you can either do in the spring semester or in a winter trimester program. Here are some of our students at the Globe Theater, and that gives you a chance to deeply explore both through theater and through literature what that sort of art form means in London. We've got a ton of different opportunities for how you can engage with the London and Florence program. So sort of the standard is to go for a 15-week experience where you start in one city and halfway through you switch. However, students can choose to tack on 3 extra weeks at the beginning in either location. So if you start in Florence, you would start with 3 weeks of intensive Italian before you do 7 weeks in Florence and then switch to London. If you choose to start with extra time in London, we've got a brand new museum studies course that is looking at sort of collecting the world in London and looking at Britain's role both as a colonizing force and a place that has done a lot of culture work, both in terms of stealing culture, in terms of spreading culture, and the ways that that can be really complicated and fascinating. However, for our trimester friends, you would choose just one of those cities and spend a full 10 weeks there. So we've got a ton of options. In Florence, you're looking at sort of a greatest hits version of the fall semester program. And so you're taking Italian language, art history, focusing on Florence, and an elective course. And then in London, we have that previously mentioned collecting the world course, as well as a course about London as visual text, and a theater course that's usually taught by the visiting faculty director. Some beautiful
photos of Florence and of students with their host mom. Another program we have is in Jordan, and it focuses on Middle East and Arabic language studies, and it's based out of Amman, which is an awesome city. It's a fall semester program, and you do, again, have a homestay here. We think that the Jordan program is a really great opportunity for students to see a side of the Middle East that isn't portrayed by the media. Any student we know that comes back says that the time that they spent in Jordan completely transformed their view on Middle Eastern issues. And so we think it's an especially exciting time to study in Jordan. That's one of our Lawrence students, Lucy Pipkin, studying in Jordan. That's a day field trip that she took. So while you're in Jordan, you take Arabic language. As we've said before with a couple other programs, we do not expect you to have Arabic language background going into this program. You will take a test and they will determine like which level is appropriate for you. You take both modern standard Arabic, but also spoken Jordanian, and so that you're able to learn both like the grammar and the nitty-gritty of Arabic, but also just the language that you need when you need to go and buy food from the vendor next door. You take 2 elective courses in the focus areas listed. So they can be in religion or politics or international studies, but there have also been courses in gender studies. The photo that you see there is from a course in traditional Islamic art that's really popular with students. And last of all, there's an independent study option or a community practicum option. So you do one of those 2 things. Again, that's a way of diving into your interests and really engaging with your host community.
We've got 2 programs in Africa, and I'll sort of walk through the first one, which is our Tanzania program, which focuses on ecology and human origins. Students on this program have, similar to the Spring Costa Rica program, a real focus on independent field research. So some majors that draw into that are environmental studies, biology. We've had a couple pre-vet students do this program, as well as people who are more focused on sociology, anthropology, gender and women's studies. It's a fall semester program, and it actually sort of takes place in 3 distinct parts. And so for the first part of the program, you are living in dorms in the University of Dar es Salaam. And then for 2 weeks, you're on safari, and then spending the next 4 weeks in a tent camp outside of Tarangire National Park in northern Tanzania. And then you come back to Dar es Salaam for the last part of the term to finish writing up your research. And for that last part, you live with the host family. So ton of different options. Here's one of those pictures from when the students are in their particular tent camp. It looks so chill, and I'm obsessed with it. The month-long field research experience is not all hanging out in hammocks, however. You are also really intensely focusing on every day going out and doing your independent field research. And so prior to that, you're taking some courses in Kiswahili language, as well as a couple grounding courses to get you prepared to go do your research in Tanzania. And like you're hopefully also being impacted by the safari, which also includes sort of a greatest hits tour of a bunch of really important early human anthropological site visits. But students on this program have done a ton of really excellent research in a number of different focus areas. A lot of people have come back and gotten published. So that's everything from students looking at how the ways that tourism throughout the park has influenced the sort of herd behavior of impala, to people looking outside the park at the Maasai people and working with them and understanding, you know, the medicine that they are using and whether they're using traditional or Western practices. And so there's a lot of leeway to shape that how you want to, which is awesome.
Our other program in Africa is our Botswana program, and that's a program about development in Southern Africa. So the areas of focus are anthropology, politics and government, globalization, and public health. However, we will also say that students who are studying economics or business or like sociology have also been successful in this program. It's a spring semester program, and housing is at the University of Botswana dorms. Students say that, or many students live with a roommate who's from Botswana, and it's been a great way for them to get to know Botswana people. A picture in Botswana. So the curriculum during the Botswana program focuses on African studies and development, and the courses include one Setswana language class, that's the language that's spoken there. You take one course with the program director, one elective class at the University of Botswana, and then you do an independent study project. And as you may understand by now, those independent study projects can vary really widely. And so that can be looking at the economy of Botswana. It can be looking at cell phone usage in Botswana and how it compares to that in the United States, or talking to young women in the workforce. And so those are really interesting projects. Many students have had a lot of success in studying HIV/AIDS in Botswana and learning about how the country has combated AIDS. There's also the opportunity to engage with local organizations and plenty of field trips to other areas. Botswana is really close to South Africa, and so students always end up going to Cape Town and Johannesburg and seeing other parts of Africa.
So we have two programs in India. There's a fall program and then a winter and spring program. So the fall program is focused more broadly on the ways that culture, tradition, and globalization all sort of intersect in the times when those rest easily together and the times when there's some tension. And so this particularly for students who are interested in sociology, anthropology, international relations, religious studies majors really have a lot of ground in the India Fall program. Like a number of our other programs, this does include a homestay in Pune, which is the city where students will be learning, which is a small city by Indian standards, but quite large compared to the United States. One cool feature of the fall program is that there's a lot of opportunity for engagement with the local community. And so here are some of the students with actually one of the women who works in the ACM field office in Pune, but learning and taking different cultural, traditional courses when you're there is one of the features of that program. In addition to extracurricular engagement, students take a course about contemporary India that is trying to ground the things that they are currently seeing in historical context. There is a course on Marathi language, which is the local dialect spoken in Pune, which we think is really important to be able to, similar with the Jordan program, meet people where they're at in terms of when you are navigating the city. And then you have your options of elective coursework in a lot of times environmental studies, religious studies, things pertaining to gender, political science. And then students, if that does not fit the bill quite for what you're looking for, you also have the groundwork of your independent study project. And so that could also be a way for you to, we think this is super useful in general, to take something that is sort of really of interest to you in the country and then try to get a lot more context and background about it.
There's a photo right there of a student who joined a cricket team during his time in the fall program. The spring program is a development studies and Hindi language program. And so this program has a heavier focus on economics, international relations, Asian studies, social justice, looking at how India is developing and how people are working with that development. And so one feature of this program does include working with a non-governmental organization that's working on development issues in India. It's a spring semester or a winter trimester, and it's a homestay as well. So the courses during the spring program include a contemporary India class that focuses on development issues, a Hindi language course, community engagement with an NGO, as I mentioned before, and that's in Pune. And then this course includes being both in Pune and in Jaipur. So we think that one important aspect of development is looking at how it impacts different areas of a country. And so Pune and Jaipur are vastly different Indian cities. And by living in both of them, you're able to compare and contrast how this country is evolving.
I will say if you are one of the students who just jumps in for the trimester, you will only spend your 11 weeks in Pune and then return back to your home campus. So you're getting the thorough grounded in community engagement in Pune, but then when the rest of the students return, you would go home for your spring quarter. The program that the ACM just actually finished its first round of in Shanghai looks at perspectives on contemporary China. And so it's partnered with East China Normal University, which is a very prestigious university in Shanghai. And so students on that program can come from a variety of backgrounds, but a lot of times in this past fall, they were looking at international relations, business and economics majors, people looking at political science, because they were particularly interested in the place that Shanghai occupies sort of in the global stage. And so it's a fall semester program that works sort of like the Botswana program in that students take a class or two taught at East China Normal University. Those classes are taught in English. They take a Chinese language class, and that's open to any level. And so you can come in with no background, or there are students with a lot of background. We had a native speaker this past term. And if you do have a very high level of Chinese language, there is the option to take coursework at East China taught in Chinese. That is not required. But all students are required to complete some sort of independent study project. One of my favorite ones from this past fall was a student looking at how the creation of metro and other sort of train lines out from the city center impacted neighborhood development and economic growth, which is, I think, something as a person from Chicago I'm always very interested in. But students also then take a course taught by the faculty program director, and that looks a lot generally at sort of Shanghai in its place.
Another program we have is the Japan Study Program. And this is at Waseda University in Tokyo, and it's open to all majors, but you do have to have some Japanese language background. This is a really prestigious university in Japan, and so it is important that students are at least able to speak a solid amount of Japanese. There are several options for going to the Waseda program. It's in the fall semester, spring semester, or a full academic year. Once again, this program includes a homestay. There are Japanese language courses based on your level, so depending on how you go in, you will be placed appropriately. There are elective classes with Japanese and other international students, and these are taught in English. And if you do the year-long option at Waseda University, you do have the opportunity to do a cultural practicum. And usually that takes students beyond Tokyo into other areas of the country.
Okay, so that was all of the programs offered by the ACM for the 2016-2017 school year. So looking ahead, a lot of times schools have their own internal deadlines. So we advise you first off to talk to your academic advisor and then the off-campus study programs team at your particular school. And a lot of times you apply first to them and then to the ACM. However, just good info for you to have is that the ACM deadline for any program in the fall is March 15th. We will also take spring 2017 applications at that time. So you would know March 15th to get those in to apply at acm.edu. And then we would return a decision usually by the first week of April at the latest. If you're looking for one of the fall domestic programs, though, as Chicago, Newberry, or Oak Ridge, those applications are not due till the 31st.
Yeah, we're really excited that you took the time to listen to us chat about our different programs, and we're excited that you're interested in ACM off-campus study. The chance to study abroad is a rare and exciting time in your life, and we really do hope that you'll be able to take advantage of it. If you do want to learn more about an ACM program, or you think that one could be a good fit for you, or if you're just struggling with a question on your application, maybe you're already applying to an ACM off-campus study program, we are more than happy to answer your questions, and you can see our emails on the screen below. Thank you so much for your time, and good luck with your journey to figuring out where to study abroad. Thank you.
Thanks.